Hey, everybody. So, I just got finished spending 10 minutes putting this camera on a tripod. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Cutting bamboo with this. What is this? This is a brass craft, I believe it's called, PVC cutter. It's a ratcheting cutter. So you would be cutting pipe like this. I think it says on here up to a certain size. Up to 5/8, almost as big, whatever is big enough that you can get in. So these are, like I said, PVC pipe cutting. Just general, I think you can cut basically any kind of PVC. You could actually cut wood with it too, like a dowel rod or something like that. This is what they look like. It's a ratcheting thing, and they look a little bit like clippers, like you'd clip something. You'd clip a plant. I have a bamboo plant here, because occasionally I find the need to cut bamboo, and sometimes I use it for a project that I can't think of specifically. I actually have a stick that I've made. It was a long, thick piece of bamboo, about this thick, and I used to use it if there's something I can't reach, like if I'm using my computer and I don't want to get up. I have this stick that I just use, and it would remind you of something like from a teacher's. The teachers used to point on the board, or they still have those pointing sticks. It's kind of like that. Anyway, so this ratchet, so when you open it, you crush a certain point, then it ratchets up. And you may know of these, they're very common, I think, at hardware stores. So it ratchets, so it isn't like a pair of pruners where it's all just you. The ratcheting helps with stuff, so you can cut anything with it. Well, why would you use these if you could just use pruners? Because it cuts very, very well, a very, very precision cut, and if you know anything about bamboo, cutting bamboo can be very difficult to get a nice smooth cut, because if you use a saw, it always gets those little fringes. I could cut like a fringe piece, and I'll show you. All right, so for one thing, cutting bamboo can be difficult just for the sheer fact that it's like so flexible and it won't stay still. So if you're cutting it, it can be difficult to hold still. Okay, see what happened to this bamboo? Will this focus on this? Hopefully. Okay, let's hold it back a little bit. You see how it's the skin has sort of just separated, and you end up with this messy thing. Same thing with pruners. If you do with pruners, they don't, depending on if they have like really sharp ones, the pruners that cut like scissors, they just don't cut a good edge. And so the other issue is if you have a big piece of bamboo, it can be very difficult. So you could take a chainsaw and you could cut bamboo off with a chainsaw, but it's going to be just the same thing. It will make a fringe. That's the best way I can think to say it. It will make a fringe, and I don't have my chainsaw out, and it will just be all frayed. Let's just call it that, frayed like a rope. So a really simple solution to that is, I used a hacksaw. It doesn't work good. Is to just use this, because you're going to get a nice clean cut without hardly any. Can you see this? Me cutting this too low? 1 second, and you get a perfect edge. Let me show this where you can see this. Can you see this? See how sharp that is? I'm trying to figure out where to hold it so the camera will focus, because the camera doesn't like to focus on this thing. But it is like you cut it with a razor sharp chef's knife. So let me get another bigger piece and show you how it works on that. Alrighty, so here we got a piece of maybe 3/4 inch bamboo, and it's actually dry, so it's a little bit harder to cut. But we're going to cut this with these cutters. See if I can do it with one hand. I have a bad hand, so can you hear it cutting? Then I'm going to have to use two hands. You see how easy that was? Even if you don't have strong hands, you can still cut this. Let's see if we can get focused on this piece of bamboo out here. Can we focus on this bamboo? Can you see it now? Can you see it now? How nice that edge is, nice and clean. It didn't really hardly splinter. This will save you tons of time with just making a project if you need to cut several pieces and you need to do it quickly and you don't want to have to go sand off these edges right here. Yeah, so I was out one day. I'm trying to get where the sun is in a good spot. I was out here one day and I have bamboo and I was going to cut down some pieces because they were actually getting too tall because they were getting into the power lines. And I thought, what can I use to cut them down? Because it's always a problem trying to use a saw. And like I said, maybe a pruning shears will be too small because it's really, I mean, you have to have bare hands to actually cut a thick piece of bamboo. And so I brought these out and I thought, wow, these will probably work. So I cut it. And like I said, this edge, can you see this? You will not believe that how clean of an edge this will leave. And you can cut it fairly straight. And I think the reason is between this, I'm trying to get out of the sun, between this and pruning shears, what the secret is, besides the ratcheting, is that this blade is cutting straight, not like a pair of scissors. Can you see that? It cuts straight through, and it doesn't let, scissors cut like diagonally, and because this is a straight cut, cuts straight through, and it has these two prongs at the end. It will allow you to cut very straight, clean edges, just like on PVC, just like if you did, I wouldn't suggest this on metal, but this blade is extremely sharp. It's sharp like a knife. And like I said, this will save you tons of time. Let's cut another piece real quick, just so you can see how easy that is. Try to do it one hand. Let's try to do it left-handed, and it's not a lip. I'm trying to do this handheld, sorry. You can do this lefty or righty too. There's no such thing as a left-handed. Let's see how I can film this. It actually cracked that. So simple, you can do it left-handed. Man, the light is, the sunlight is killing me today. Look at the edge on that. Even though this is kind of old and rotted bamboo, a little bit. It squished it a little bit, but can you see that edge? How nice and clean that is? So I thought you'd appreciate this tip because I just stumbled across it, and I'm sure it's not marketed. These are not marketed for this. So I think you can pretty much, different tool companies make this. It's not just brass crafters, but I bought this probably about 10 years ago because I thought it was the greatest idea. You don't have to ever saw PVC unless it's really big, or use using a tool that's you know, the tool company, they stamped it BC. I don't know if you can see that. BC 1002 or T00. And I couldn't figure out which company it was. And I actually found the package for it. And so I put brass crafters on there because they didn't mark it. But I'm sure Craftsman or any other tool company makes these things. Hey, my cat's over there. The cat just came running over out of nowhere. Jimby. So I hope you like this little tip. These things are like worth gold. They probably cost 10 bucks, but these will cut precision. You can cut, like I said, you can cut small pieces of wood, like a dowel rod or something like that with them. You can cut square stuff with them. They're very handy, and I've never had to sharpen these things. I've cut tons and tons of stuff, and it's just such a handy tool. I wanted to pass that on to you guys, and as well as if you have tried cutting bamboo, it can be a real task to have to go back and sand it, and then when you go sand it, the little pieces also will fray. Like I said, like a little rope. It's like almost like dominoes. It just keeps fraying and keep fraying. It's hard to get a clean edge, but this will allow you to do it. Hope you enjoyed the tip. More tips coming on my new channel, Jon Swift DIY, as well as Jon Swift, Mr. Jon Swift 200. Subscribe and turn on those notifications if you would. I'll see you next time with a better tip, another tip. Not necessarily a better tip, but another better tip, or maybe not so good. Have a great day, guys.